Hey guys, it's Tom Box. Thanks for tuning into MST.TV. Now get your dislikes button ready because you guys are going to hear a lot of things that you're not going to like in this video. This is, of course, a TCG ban list prediction. You guys send me to the Shadow Realm every now and then, and this is the one video to do so. But anyways, because this is the October 2019, according to the Konami website, it does state that the ban list will not come out any sooner than October 14th. That is a Monday. Now, seeing that our last ban list went live on a Monday as well, I think that's the trend. It's always like, oh, they give us one last tournament and they kind of kick it off. But this time around, our prediction here is going to start with the release date of the ban list. And for that, we're going to look into what kind of products are coming out. And we have Chaos Impact, and I don't know how much of an overhaul the Konami wants or how well timed they want it, but if they want to give us an early list and then give us the product of Chaos Impact, then I would say October 16th around in the afternoon, that's when they're going to drop it. But lately they've been dropping it in the morning for us, so it could be like a 10 o'clock thing and bam, there's a new ban list. I'm guessing it's going to be on a Wednesday or a Thursday. That's just my prediction there. And it's either on the 16th or it could be a whole week later just so that they can let the Chaos Impact products settle. But if they want to maximize on the sales from like all the stores and all based off of their distribution and whatnot, they should probably do it a little bit earlier. And then there's going to be a lot more pre-orders based off of what the list could be. So, you know, there's a lot of factors influencing, but that's the first part of it. Okay, now moving on to the actual cards. Oh boy. So this is the part where you guys are not going to like it. So when I hit a prediction, this is no surprise to you guys. I'm always looking at the business side of things. I'm always looking at like, how can they make more money based off of what they hit. They want to cycle out the Sky Striker guys. That's no secret. You can ask anybody. It's like, is a lifespan of a deck part of a ban list cycle? Then the answer is probably 90% of it is yes, but you know, what if they get power creeped out? There's always that factor in. And I also went onto Twitter to post a poll to see what people hate the most in terms of like which deck should get axed. So I'm going to use that to also influence some of my decisions here on this ban list prediction. And you know what? Let's just jump into this one. Okay, looking at the Twitter polls, it says Sky Striker deserves the most amount of hit at 38%. And then Orcus is at 34%. Guard Dragons at a low, I guess, half of the amount, 17%. And then we have Thunder Dragons at the lowest amount at 10%. And the total amount of votes that went in, 974 at the time of making of this video, which means there's about 360 votes just for Sky Strikers alone. At least Guard Dragons also, they're not really cutting that loose. They're still close to nearly 200 votes just for Guard Dragon. So that's a lot of cards or a lot of votes going in. So that's going to seriously influence how I'm hitting things. But Sky Striker and Orcus are basically neck and neck to each other in terms of how much people want them hit. And I think the reason why Orcus is still up there is mainly because not a lot of people play the Guard Dragon combos anymore because it's very dangerous. You don't take a Nibiru challenge. There's no such thing. There's a Max C challenge where they activate it and you can go in. But the moment Nibiru happens, it's over. And for Guard Dragons, what stings the most is that there is no real recovery coming from the Nibiru. Like, sure, Guard Dragon can set up a really big board and it's really good. And in fact, it was so good to the point that now there's an FTK variant. So, anyways, this is probably the order that I'm going to hit them in. Sky Striker, Orcus, Guard Dragon, Thunder Dragon. That's the order. And if there's anything else that comes to my mind, I will talk about it as well. But let's kick things off by hitting Sky Strikers to the ground thanks to this particular poll. Looking into Sky Striker, the first card to hit would probably be multi-roll. Multi-roll, couple of things. First of all, it's really hard to play against this card, especially when they don't go full multi-roll on you. And you just can't respond to any of their cards. They use the effect, send a card to the graveyard, which is good utility, synergizes well with Sky Striker in terms of their strategy. And then what are you going to do? Every single card they activate, you can't stop, you can't chain. They activate an Afterburner, even though if you can chain something, well, you technically can't anymore because it's an activation of a spell card and none of them can be responded to. So you're basically playing under every card is a super poly. That's no good. Second of all, it's like you're only using half the resource every time. You use it on your turn for now, and then you set a new one for later, and it's buy one, get one free every single time you use Multi-roll, really good. And multi-roll sending the field spell automatically fetches you the Ray. And even though this card went to 1, the deck can still search it out. Shizuku searches it out, Engage searches it out, and that's the way it goes. The only thing that really changed up with the banning, or sorry, the limiting of this card is that, well, it's at 1. That means if it gets blown up, I'll just try to find some other way to search it back into the deck. So that's why this one should go to 0, because it's just offering a lot, and it makes the deck and the matchup so grindy. And since we don't want to see it in the meta anymore, and the prediction is that Sky Striker would be completely phased out, perhaps parts of the engines would still exist and splash into other decks, but otherwise this card has got to go. So this one is the 0. Now in terms of Orcus, you guys might be surprised, I'm not hitting the Nightmare Mermaid. I am actually hitting the thing that it summons out. I'm hitting Orchestrated Nightmare, or Orcus Nightmare. Why this card in particular? Well, the thing is, when I look into Nightmare Mermaid, Nightmare Mermaid could also summon out Nightmare Incarnate Idly. And because of that, and because of also the Regenerators, because Regenerators are a thing as well, they play at level 9. That means World Legacy Monstrosity is a potential card that they can use, and then they can just hit it on that particular instance on the Idly. Then they can go into VFD, or they can even go into the World Legacy Link monster, that Regalia, whatever it's called, that gear thing. Like, that's thing that they can go into, and that's why I decided not to hit the Mermaid. I don't want to take that strategy out and just limit them into only playing like a handful of level 9s, and they have to wait till Ignition Assault before anything gets really good, because the draw card for level 9 is an Ignition Assault. So that's why I'm choosing to hit this card. Hitting this card is equivalent because, first of all, this card is what starts it off. This is the card that summons out your Galatea. And if they're playing the Orcus package, if they have the Orcus Heartport to summon it, then fine, go ahead and go into it. But I don't want you to search it out with a Nightmare Mermaid. This is the 1 card kill to take out basically any of the 2 card combo, go into a Nightmare Monster, go into a Nightmare Mermaid, and then summon out Orcus Nightmare, and you get your Galatea full combo. That's why this card is the one to ban. And also, this card is a Foolish Burial. If Foolish is basically any of your things, and then just cycles into the full combo, and I don't appreciate like a 1 card combo. I guess Guard Dragons has the same thing. The problem and the main difference is you guys have way better utility and you're way more splashable compared to all the other decks. So Orchestrated Nightmare is the bye-bye card. Next, we got to get rid of some FDKs. Cannon Soldier and Toon Cannon Soldier, both of them should go. They shouldn't have been in the game for the longest time. OCG had them banned for a very long time already. But anytime these cards exist in a deck, it just means that someone is getting FTK'd. And if they're not, that means they're not the best player. That's it. So yeah, anyways, FTK reasons, Cannon Soldier should go. And that would be most of the stuff banning. You guys might have noticed that I did not put in Mr. Agripane. Why isn't Mr. Agripane in this particular ban list? Does he deserve a spot in here? I'm sure he does. But the thing is, about the deck's lifespan, there is only 1 real dragon deck left, and that's Dragon Links, and Dragon Links, that's Rockets. They haven't exactly done anything too significant in the format, and this is one of those cards where it will live for a format and then die. That's why I'm thinking Agripane isn't exactly there yet. Like, if you look at all the previous structure decks, you look at Endymion, they've hit top cuts. If you look at Salamangreats, they've hit top cuts. Guard Dragons, well, I guess Guard Dragons themselves have hit top cuts, but Rockets, they have not. And with Nibiru and all these other cards, it's actually a lot more difficult. A lot more people have just 1 card answers to break everything, which is why the Guard Dragons didn't seem to be warranting as a hit as much, because it seems like they got power crept by counters. It seems like they just decided, like, you know what, everyone just gets to counter this deck for free, and that's exactly kind of what happened. That's why the Rocket structure never really took off as a meta structure deck. By that being said, should Agripane get hit? Absolutely. But will it probably get hit in my current prediction? Probably not. I think because we're getting Striker Dragon and they're boosting the Rockets, it's one of those cases of abuse it, then lose it. And since they have not really hit that threshold of gaining a mass popularity, then there's no point in losing it. And it feels like whenever Konami wants to push a product at us, they always aim to like ease up the product that they're releasing so that it seems a lot stronger than it actually is if they were to play it in the current format. And that makes sense, you know, change up the playing field a little bit, give them a little bit more advantage. So that's why Agripane still there. It's probably gonna die very soon though. Unlike OCG has like Gumblar. I mean, if you gave us Gumblar and took away the Agripane, I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm just gonna loop your hand to death. But hand looping is also, you know, in the same tier as getting FTK'd. It's just no fun. But Agripane, a lot of people can break boards, and in terms of Dragon Links usually only set up with 3 levels of disruption. They get the Heretic Bounce, they get a Borreload Savage Dragon to negate an activation that doesn't even destroy the card, and finally the last card is usually, it's either an Appaloosa, or the second card they have available is the card they summon, which is Hot Red or Crystal Wing or whatever. But, you know, all this can be stopped by Nibiru. That's why I'm like, and any of the hand traps, if they get through successfully, still kind of like, it's kind of over. And like Guard Dragon combo requires a lot more commitment compared to Orcus combo, where Orcus combo somehow they always come back out. But yeah, that's why this card is not there. Not this time. Not this time. Anyways, looking into limited line, starting off with a Sky Striker card, I have Widow Anchor. I told you you're not going to play the deck. You can have 3 engage and you still won't play the deck. It's because your Widow Anchor's at 1. That means you have to play a lot of other cards that are not Sky Striker if you want to continue playing the deck. And it also makes the deck a lot more predictable. You have 3 Impermanence, 3 Widow Anchor. Like Widow Anchor, like when you have 3 spells, it's Snatch Steal. It's pretty gross. It's not really Snatch Steal. It's more like a quick play mind control that still lets you attack. More like an Econ that has no cost. And to me, that is devastating, especially for anyone that's trying to play combo. They just will never ever be able to get to do so with Widow Anchor, because it's just that deadly. You guys can play Crackdowns. Crackdowns is a lot slower, and Crackdown can easily be countered, and you can retrieve the monster for the turn simply by just destroying Crackdown. That's why I'm not comparing it with Crackdown. I'm comparing it with like Enemy Controller taking your monster for free at no cost. And that's why this card is the one to go. You can keep her engaged. You can draw the extra card. You can engage into engage. As long as you're not having multiple Widow Anchors in your back row, as long as on my turn your board is manageable, everything's okay. And as for Saryuja, you guys might be wondering, oh man, why is Saryuja here? He's already been power crept out. Well, not entirely. There are certain decks that are still spamming Saryuja, and 2 Saryuja is their combo. I guess that the Crusadia Guard Dragon deck, it was the one that actually abused the crap out of Saryuja, that ran 2 copies of Saryuja because it was a necessity. Nowadays, people only really need 1 copy, but for the decks that still use 2, they open the Saryuja, then to go into the Guard Dragon combo, and at that point, if they make the second Saryuja, every single card that they draw is at maximum value. And I don't think they deserve it because they already did the full Guard Dragon combo anyway, and this is the one resource I think. Drawing 4 cards, sure, it's ridiculous, but if you go into the point where you're digging like a quarter of your deck or a fifth of your deck in one turn, I think that's a bit too much, and that's why this should be at 1, only under that logic. Not exactly a meta-based hit, but hey, I don't think just that notion, watching someone do it, that's not very fun at all. It's like, why does he get 8 turns? Why does he get to dig his deck like that? Okay, you guys are going to disagree with me on this one. I know a lot of you are because you guys are playing control decks, but there can be only one. This Floodgate is really oppressive. I want you guys to really think about it. Think about how many decks you've hit so far in this format. You've hit dragons. Dragons can't really play. They can't go into anything unless they play a second typing. Okay, so that's one. Then there's Orcus. Of course, all machines, they can't really play. Cyber Dragons in that deck also can't play, which forces people to go into the Lunalight build, to go into the Phoenix, to pop it. Okay, so most of the Orcus variants kind of get stunned out. And even if they're playing Lunalights, they get stunned out because they have like Beast Warriors or just Beast, and they can't use it to go into anything because they're basically stuck. Yeah, there's so many decks that just get stuck under this card and they can't play. And now that we've kind of established that, look into some of the future decks coming out. Marincess, it's a Cybers archetype. You're basically locked out. And speaking of Cybers archetypes, Salamangreats also are stunned out by this card. Sure, they have an out if they want to dig it out, but not as easy. Marincess, definitely for sure, they don't have any spell trap removal. Rockets, locked out into dragons. Dragon Maze, locked into dragons. One dragon. Tenyi, locked into worms. But then you can only have one worm, so that part is awful. Mathmex, and then we have Regenerate, not part of this list. Regenerate, they have different typing in there. They have plants, they have pyro, they have rocks, they have machines. And then there's Fire Fist, Beast Warriors, and Beasts. It's difficult for people to play around these kinds of floodgates. And the right timing on the activation, you can even send a bunch of cards into the graveyard, which is very devastating. And I have witnessed people just winning because they summon a Hayate and they just punch all the way to game with one copy of Hayate backed by one. There can be only one, and that I don't think is fair at all. And in terms of rating a card, in terms of funness, like if a card is so oppressive to the point that one of the players is just not having any fun at all, it's not strategic at all, then it hurts. But overall, it's not like it's so bad to the point that no one can deal with it. So leaving it at 1, there can be only one. So there will be only one. Aside from that, and if you do win with this one copy, then you deserve to win with the one copy because they just chose not to have an answer for this particular card, or you just played very well to control the board after only having one copy of this. But if someone chooses to out this card, if they out it, they shouldn't be locked under like a second copy of it, because that is super annoying. That's like Mystic Mine into a Mystic Mine. And speaking of Mystic Mine to 1, because again, you don't want Mystic Mine into a Mystic Mine. You just got out of a Mystic Mine only for someone to reactivate another Mystic Mine. That's nonsense. That's just not fun at all, and that leaves a lot of stigma behind. Yeah, that's just not fun at all. Okay, now looking into semi-limits. Semi-limits, we have Thunder Dragons. I honestly can't really hit Thunder Dragon. Hitting like a Thunder Dragon Colossus to 2 might not hurt those combo decks that hybrid into a Thunder Dragon deck, but for a pure Thunder Dragon deck, it does hurt, because if you play it properly, you would actually be throwing away Thunder Dragons to go into Titan as soon as you can, and establishing that control by popping cards and getting additional search by trying to pop yourself and getting those searches. That's what putting in at 2 means, that if you actually accidentally drop them both away, you have to recycle the resource, making the Thunder Dragon deck a little bit slower, but overall, not too much damage has been done to them. They kind of got power crept out by Orcus, because Orcus can just send away all their Colossus, and their protection effect means nothing. They're just big beaters. It's just a giant token if you look at it. Anyways, looking into another semi-limit card, I'm looking at Super Poly. Super Poly is just not very fun to play against. It's just, they have it, they Super Poly, you're dead. Okay, that sounds good. Putting at 2 just makes it less consistent. I get that there are certain boards that are super oppressive that you want something to break it. A lot of people aim to use the Tenyi of Vishuda to start the board breaking process, but all that is only possible because of Orcus. And if Orcus dies in this banlist prediction, if we want to be consistent about it, then some of the options still must be left live. All right, and I'm just gonna leave Super Poly live at 2 and see if there's other outs available in upcoming sets. There's a lot of cards in the upcoming set that offers 1-for-1 removal, very similar to like Mind Control. So if they want to diversify people's outs, that is a potential option. Next, we're going to look into some of the stuff that's now wish listy, and we're going to start with something pretty standard, I guess. We're going to look into Tribe Infecting Virus. Just put this card at 3, it does nothing. Why bother? Like, even if you made it good, I don't know what you're going to do. You can use this card, to kill Salamangreats, like, call Cybers twice, and that's it. I bet that you'll just get blown up before you even get that chance. And if you try to do that against a Sky Striker, you're going to call Machine, and then call Warrior, and then call Machine, yeah, it's not very good. Call Thunder? Well, go ahead, General, try to pop a Thunder Dragon Colossus. It's not very good, because they're just going to protect themselves. Overall, in terms of the current meta, it just makes no sense to leave Tribe Infecting Virus in here. The only reason why I can think that they won't put this card out is that they have to reprint it once they put it off the ban list, and they're like, you know what, why would we want to waste precious cardboard on a card that no one's really going to play? Which, to some degree, makes sense. Like, save your resources, save your funding for better events, I suppose. Then there's Insector Dragonfly. Give them the consistency. Let them try to play their insects. It'd be very nice to see if someone can come up with some sort of Battle Wasp variant or some sort of equip variant. I want to see if Insector has the potential. I know that if Insector Dragonfly goes off and you have 2 equips, you spam the board, you can get to the Boros Sword, you can get way more than just Boros Sword, and you can just end your opponent. And because Dragonfly gets to pop everything with the Hornet, it's pretty ridiculous. And that being said, I think that's the cards going to 3. But there are a couple cards that I would like to experiment with. One is Masterpiece. I think Masterpiece has finally met its end at the ban list. Just 1 copy, please. Don't give me more. Like, there are people that can out this card. I think there's a ton of ways to out it. Nibiru is not one of those ways, by the way, because you're never going to get a true Draco player to summon more than 5 times. That's just crazy talk. But Masterpiece, will it define the format? Well, being at 2950, usually Masterpiece will be immune to spells and also be immune to monster effects. So Nibiru's not going to work. You can't use Dark Ruler no more. So in other words, you're going to be using traps. But Konami has been pushing this trap agenda forward. So there's a potential that Masterpiece can get killed off by a lot of traps. In fact, people are playing Dynamiscus from the Paleos. Marincess play the Marincess Waves to negate the effect of Masterpiece, which can work. We have Solemns. Overall, if they try to summon out Masterpiece, you can Solemn Judgment the card as well, so not too bad. Now, one card that might throw a bit more debate out there, and then I'm gonna see if I can convince you guys, which is Tidal the Dragon Ruler. They already gave us back 1 Dragon Ruler, which is Tempest, arguably the weakest Dragon Ruler of them all, but Tidal seems to be a lot stronger. Might give Mermail that chance to play Big Eye once again. And is it all that bad for another water deck to exist? Marincess can also use the Foolish Burial-esque ability of this card to fetch in a Seahorse into the graveyard. By throwing away perhaps a frog, by throwing away perhaps a useless or an additional copy of something, or maybe even using it to pay cost so that you can get the additional body to push for additional damage, which would really incentivize people to go ahead and pick up Marincess. But on the second hand, you can also use its dragon typing to support rockets at the same time. So it seems like it's a pretty good move to do it. Is this going to happen? Probably not. Very unlikely, but in terms of prediction, this is not unlikely. It's still within the realm of possibility. And as for the last card that is part of perhaps my wish list, is Solemn Warning to 2. I don't see why it needs to be at 1. No one's really playing the card. People are playing Strike, but having Warning, again, adds like more trap diversity in the back row. Really wish Book of Moon's at 3, but we all know why Book of Moon is kind of stuck in its current position, because Book of Mooning a monster in the extra monster zone is extremely deadly, and blocking someone off from linking off in their combo is basically a turn skip. And that's one of the key reasons why Book of Moon is probably still at 1, and I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. But Tidal, on the other hand, I wouldn't mind seeing it given a chance. In fact, it would make sense to trade off the Agrippine for that Tidal. No, give or take, guys, give or take. And that would be my ban list prediction. Is there anything else that you guys would love to see hit, like Subterror, Altergeist? I don't know, what other decks do you think deserves to be on the ban list? I honestly think that this is as much as I want to hit it. I want to preserve more decks, but Sky Striker and Orcus are the 2 main things that probably should get cycled out, because it is very, very stale. It is one of the contributing factor to why the format is so stale. Oh, what am I playing against? Are you playing a Pendulum deck? Yeah, my Pendulum has an Orcus engine in there. Oh, okay. That means if you do your full combo, you'll just end up with an Orcus deck. Oh, are you playing Cyber Dragons? No, I'm playing Cyber Dragon Orcus. Are you playing Lunalights? No, I'm playing Lunalight Orcus. Are you playing Dragons? I'm playing Dragon Orcus. Everything has Orcus in there, or if they're not, they're playing Sky Striker or Salamangreats. But Salamangreats, they have new cards coming up. I can't just touch them. It's just really, really difficult to try to hit a deck with support coming out, especially when the support is good. Like, whenever that support is good, chances are they're not touching the deck. They just want you to play and have as much fun as possible. And yeah, that's my ban list prediction. Is it right? Is it wrong? Well, do you guys even care? I'd rather look in the comment section, and hopefully my soul can stay intact reading your comments. But anyways, yeah, leave a comment down in the comment section if you agree, disagree, or want to share some things that perhaps your area is experiencing. I'll listen to all of that, and hit thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ding notification bell, or else your favorite card will get banned. Anyways, that's all I got for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.